good, y'all? So in this video, I'm going to be reacting to MrBallen top 3 places can't go when people win anyway. I did the first video of this video a couple of days ago, so it's if you just want to go back to like probably Tuesday or something like that, I posted it there, and I'm just gonna finish the video off finally, because sometimes I just be starting a video, never finishing it. So here we go. We're gonna get into this.
Am I gonna run out of air and drown, or am I gonna get attacked by some animal down here? There is this tiny little stream that winds its way through a forest in Yorkshire, England called the Bolton Strid. It's not very wide, you could jump over it. It doesn't appear to be very deep. It looks like it's to say, do not go near the Bolton Strid. It kills people. Because just beneath the surface of this seemingly tame water body is a natural booby trap that has a 100% mortality rate. Meaning every single person that has ever stepped foot in the Bolton Strid has died. In 1998, Barry and Lynn Collett were walking along the Bolton Strid on their second day of their honeymoon, and all of a sudden a torrential downpour starts just raining down on them, and the rocks they were on suddenly got pretty slick, and Lynn slips and falls into the Strid. Barry, being a good husband, runs over to try to save her, and he too falls into the Strid. A man named Desmond Thomas was on the other side of the Strid, and he saw Barry as he was running for his wife, and he saw him fall in, and he watched Barry's face as he was looking at him as if he was going to stay afloat at the top. Desmond said it looked like someone came up and grabbed his leg and yanked him under the water, and he didn't see him again. Lynn's body was found 6 days later in West Yorkshire, and Barry's body was found over a month later, 10 miles downstream. In another case, in 2010, an 8-year-old boy named Aaron Page was playing by the Bolton Strid for his birthday. There's an area that's totally safe, that's away.
I blame the parents, because if there's signs that say danger, now I think that we can, okay, so in the last video, I was wrong most of the time. Like, I kept saying shit when I would pause, and I would be like, you know what, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then they would be like, explain it, and I'll be like, oh. I was like, oops. But, I don't know. I feel like shouldn't there be, like a fence or some shit? Like, I get a sign, but, like, what if I was looking this way when there was the sign, or, I don't know.
From the Strid, where people have picnics and that kind of thing. And
you know,
he
like,
came
block
down
it
to
out.
the edge of the Strid and was running on the rocks, and he slipped and he fell in. Now, an adult saw this happen, and they ran over, and they were able to grab onto him while he's in the water. But the pull from inside the water was so strong that this person couldn't hold on to this child, who was eventually sucked under and dragged away and drowned. And beyond these 2 reports, there's dozens of others of people trying to jump over the Strid and falling in and drowning. So why is the Bolton Strid so deadly? If you look at this picture, this is of the River Wharfe, and it's just a little ways upstream of the Bolton Strid. And all this water in the River Wharfe gets funneled into the Bolton Strid. And the way it fits through that narrow section that is the Bolton Strid is the river turns on its side. So when you're looking at the Bolton Strid and you think, oh, that's not that deep. Well, it is that deep. It's at least as deep as the River Wharfe is wide. And if you look at it on the surface and you say, oh, well, the Bolton Strid's not moving very fast. Well, that's because underneath the surface there is a whipping current. And in fact, the current that runs through the Strid is so strong that if you were standing on one of the rocks overlooking the water, you're looking down into the Bolton Strid. Well, you're not really standing on solid rock. You're kind of standing on a ledge. You just don't know it because the water meets the edge of the ledge. Underneath the rock you're standing on, the water has completely carved it out. So if you were to fall in, before you get sucked under the water, you would get sucked against the side and you would disappear under one of those shelves and go way far back underneath these rocks. And then you'd get sucked under and drown. And a lot of people who fall into the Strid, they don't make it out the other side. They don't get downstream. They get pulled into all these different caverns and tunnels that have been carved out by that current, and they're trapped in there forever because no one's going in to retrieve them, not even with scuba gear. Because if you get in there with scuba gear, the current will push you into these different caves and you aren't getting out again.
Well, that's depressing.
On June 1st, 1937, Amelia Earhart took off from Oakland, California on an eastbound flight around the world. It was her second attempt to become the first pilot ever to circumnavigate the globe. She, along with her flight navigator Fred Noonan, flew to Miami and then down to South America, across the Atlantic to Africa, and then east to India and Southeast Asia. The pair reached Lae, New Guinea on June 29th. A couple days later, on July 2nd, Earhart and Noonan would depart Ley, and they would make their way to tiny Howland Island, which was their next refueling stop, but they would never arrive. What Earhart was trying to accomplish at the time was such a big deal, and so when they disappeared, it was heartbreaking, and it made international headlines, and this huge search was launched for them, but they can't find them, and after 2 weeks, they officially declared they were lost at sea and most likely dead. 3 years later, and 350 miles away from Howland Island, which was the island Earhart and Noonan were trying to get to before they vanished, a British scientist was on this tiny little uninhabited island called Niku Maroro, and they made a startling discovery. He found an incomplete skeleton next to what looked like the remains of a campfire, and their skeleton was kind of torn all over the place, like they had been ripped limb from limb. Because of Niku Maroro's proximity to Howland Island, everybody speculated that this has got to be the body of either Amelia Earhart or Noonan. The bones were sent to 2 doctors in Fiji, and they unfortunately said, no, this isn't Earhart or Noonan, this is somebody else. So those bones were ultimately...
Like, just somebody else. Like, fuck them. What the fuck is still somebody? Oh, that's so sad. Motherfuckers is just dying out this bitch.
Disposed of because no one could claim them or knew who they were, and everybody just kind of forgot about it until 2017 when a forensic anthropologist decided to manually re-examine the measurements of the bones that were taken off of Niku Maroro Island and compare them to real measurements of Amelia Earhart. And they discovered that clearly those doctors in Fiji had made a mistake because the measurements of these bones match Amelia Earhart almost exactly. So researchers go back to Niku Maroro Island and they go to the area where these bones were found near that campfire, and they look around and they find a couple 1930s era bottles, glass bottles, and one of them is a freckle cream, and Amelia Earhart had lots of freckles and she liked to use freckle cream to cover them up. She was kind of famous for doing that. And so they found that freckle cream on this island near bones that look like they belong to Amelia Earhart. So while some scientists are putting their energy into confirming that yes, those bones were Amelia Earhart. We don't have the bones, but we can show you with the measurements and the freckle cream. And there's another picture that apparently shows the landing gear of her plane off of Niku Maroro Island. So there's some people that are working on that angle. And there's another group of scientists and researchers that are saying, okay, let's assume that that really was Amelia Earhart. Let's figure out what happened to her once she got to Niku Maroro Island. And the leading theory is horrifying. Although Niku Maroro Island is uninhabited by people, it is inhabited by one of the scariest creatures on the planet.
Oh, why the fuck did I pause it right there?
The coconut crab. They're 3 feet long, they can carry at least 6 times their body weight,
Ew.
and they use their pincers that are as...
I'm not gonna lie, I love crab. I bet they would be juicy. Juicy. Ew.
Long as a lion's jaw to rip open coconuts, which is their main source of food. But coconuts are not the only thing they eat. They'll also eat pigs, they'll eat each other, they'll even eat themselves. And they're prolific climbers because they need to get up to get to the coconuts. But in some parts of the world, they use their climbing ability to climb up and grab birds and break their wings with their pincers and then drag them into their underground burrows where they will eat them too. The few researchers and scientists that have gone out...
like fucking big ass spiders, bro, with claws. Which is honestly kind of way worse. Now I have anxiety.
To Niku Maroro Island have said at night thousands of these crabs will emerge from their underground burrows and they'll go looking for food. And they have a really keen sense of smell and they can smell blood. So when one of the crabs goes up and grabs a bird and starts ripping it apart, the thousands of others will come charging over and swarm the bird because they've smelled the blood, and they'll rip it to pieces and they'll all try to get in on the action. And so the theory goes, Earhart and Noonan are making their way to Howland Island. They get off track somehow and they wind up crash landing 350 miles away on Niku Maroro Island on one of the reefs. Noonan probably dies on impact, and Earhart, who's badly wounded and probably bleeding, she gets onto the island and she makes her way up to that area where that campfire was found. And for some amount of time, Earhart is able to survive off of whatever she had on her in those glass bottles, but in her weakened state and bleeding, at some point she probably attracted the coconut crabs who one night came out and swarmed her, ripped her to pieces, and ate her. Today, Niku Maroro Island is only inhabited by the coconut crabs and it's protected land under the Republic of Kiribati. And so if you want to go, you have to get express permission
Why would you want to go? Why? Why would you want to go? If you go, shit's on you. Cause you're dumb. Did you not see what they looked like? They out here ripping motherfuckers to pieces, and you wanna go?
the Republic of Kiribati, and they send someone to go with you. And there's no airport on the island, so you have to land on a separate island and then ride to Nikumaroro on a boat.
See, and then you put too much effort in this shit. You really.
But you have to pass through Cyclone Alley, which means you can only travel there at certain parts of the year, and even then, it's incredibly dangerous. So that's gonna do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed.
That last, I'm scared. Ooh, Jesus. I don't like things with a lot of legs, bruh. I don't like it. And then when I see it, at least I ain't see no picture of it moving. I mean, video of it moving, but... Anyways, this is very interesting, and thank you. I will not be going to... I just quickly forgot what the Coco Marubu or something like that. I'm not going there. Ever. Nor will I be going on a boat or a plane ever again, because if we get crash landed onto Noko Kapuru, them motherfuckers, I'm gonna just be hot. You know how in Mario he be hopping on them turtles to like kill them and shit. That's what I'm gonna be doing on them crabs. I'm about to motherfuckers getting cooked up tonight. I ain't gonna die. The fuck? They eat themselves. Like that's saying enough. That's saying enough. They're burnt out. Anyways, y'all like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. I'll see y'all in the next one.